Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to try and decode one of the most exciting and, let's be honest, mind-bending technologies of our time, the quantum computer. So what is it, really? And why is everyone from Google to entire nations racing to build one?
To really get this, let's start with why a top researcher even got into it in the first place. It wasn't for the money or the fame, it was just for the pure fun and the absolute curiosity of making science fiction a reality. It's kind of like being the first person to build a real spaceship just because you love the idea as a kid.
And this quote, it just sets the stage perfectly. For about a century now, the quantum world has seemed totally bizarre, completely counterintuitive. But we're finally moving past just shrugging and calling it weird. Now, we're actually learning how to engineer and control all that weirdness.
So here's the most important thing to get right off the bat. Stop thinking of a quantum computer as just a souped-up version of your laptop. It's not. Think of it more like a revolutionary new instrument, like the very first telescope or the first microscope. It's a tool that's going to let us see and understand nature in a way we never, ever could before.
Okay, so let's get right down to it. What's the fundamental difference between the computers we use today and these new quantum cousins? Well, it all starts with one single game-changing idea, the quantum bit, or as everyone calls it, the qubit.
All right, here is the absolute core difference. A classical bit, the language of every computer you've ever used, it's like a light switch. It has to be either on or off, a 1 or a 0. It's the world of or. But a qubit can be a 1, a 0, or both at the exact same time. It lives in the world of and.
And this mind-bending ability to exist in multiple states at once, it has a name. It's called superposition, and it is the absolute secret sauce that gives quantum computers their unbelievable potential. Instead of being forced to choose just one path, a qubit can explore tons of possibilities all at once.
But look, one qubit is just the beginning. The real magic, the truly mind-blowing power that happens when you start linking them together. That's where things get, they get exponential.
And this power doesn't just add up, it explodes. With every single qubit you add, you don't just add to the computing power, you double it. By the time you get to just 100 qubits, you can represent more possible states than there are atoms on the entire planet Earth. It's a total explosion of computational space.
And that immense parallel processing power is exactly why these machines aren't just some small upgrade. For certain kinds of problems like simulating molecules or cracking complex codes, they represent a leap so huge that it would take our best supercomputers billions and billions of years to even catch up. Now, with that kind of potential on the table, you can bet it's kicked off an absolutely fierce global competition. Tech giants, nations, they're all in a dead sprint to achieve something called quantum supremacy. That's the big milestone, the moment a quantum computer solves a problem that no classical computer on Earth could possibly solve. And that has huge implications for everything from the economy to national security.
And you can see how this all went from just a wild theoretical idea back in the 80s to something that is really heating up now. In just the last decade, we've gone from the very first commercial machines to a claimed supremacy milestone, which then pushed the supercomputer guys to level up their own game in response. It's a real deal technological arms race.
So the whole goal of quantum supremacy is to cook up a problem that even a monster of a machine like this one, the Earth simulator, simply cannot solve in any reasonable amount of time. It's about finding that one task that proves, without a doubt, that this new quantum approach has an unbeatable edge.
And believe me, this race has a ton of players. You've got the tech giants like Google and IBM, and they're pouring billions into this. You've got entire nations, like the US and China, treating this as a matter of strategic national importance. And then you've got these really nimble startups, like D-Wave and Xanadu, who are pushing the boundaries in completely new ways.
Okay, so a big tech race is happening. Fine. But why should you or I actually care? Why is this all so important? Well, because the applications this could lead to could fundamentally change, pretty much everything. Because these machines can handle unbelievable complexity, they could let us design a perfect new drug by simulating exactly how it interacts with proteins in the body. They could help us create totally new materials for super efficient batteries, literally designing them atom by atom. These aren't just small improvements we're talking about. These are potential breakthroughs in medicine, in energy, and way beyond.
And the reason why is actually pretty simple, but it's also incredibly profound. Nature itself, it doesn't compute in ones and zeros. It computes using the language of quantum mechanics. Everything from how a plant turns sunlight into energy to the chemistry happening in our own bodies, it's all a quantum process. So to truly simulate it, to harness it, we need a computer that speaks its native language.
And that's probably the most important thing to remember here. We're at the very, very beginning of this journey. We are in the 1950s of a brand new computing era. We can see some of the possibilities, sure. But just like the early pioneers of computers could never have imagined something like social media or streaming video, the most profound impacts of quantum computing are probably things we can't even dream of yet.
You know, in the end, what's really amazing is that even the researchers building this future admit they don't know exactly where it will lead. They're building this new kind of telescope not because of what they expect to see, but out of this deep, profound desire to simply look. So the final question really isn't just what is a quantum computer, it's what will it allow us to become?